which recognises both the rights and responsibilities of both communities, that we were able to get away from the violence. Now, it strikes me that in certainly in Iran, there is a great internal debate going on, not least a generational debate between young and old, about the role of religion in government, the role of religion in individual life, and those kind of debates can only be conducted by the people directly involved. In Britain, it took us probably 300 years to sort out some of those elements. The whole history of this building is a history of religious and political conflict. Cost the king his head, caused a civil war, which is still, in terms of percentage of the population, the bloodiest war that Britain has ever fought.
And Oliver Cromwell, the statue is outside.
Outside is to Oliver Cromwell.
Yes.
The countries have to go through these things, and I think where we probably...
Pakistan, when we talk about, I mean, you know, we've had the war on terror since 9/11. Pakistan has been on the front lines in fighting this war. We had dictatorship, you know, there are other challenges in everyday running of the country. Now you have democracy. The people in Pakistan expect Britain and the US to support Pakistan in dealing with these challenges rather than exerting pressure. And also when the drones come and attack, your sovereignty is being challenged, for Britain to speak up in support of Pakistan. Do you think Britain has a role in terms of, with experience and historically, as well as the way, if you look at the 47, it was from Britain that Pakistan took independence?
Yeah, and I think there are responsibilities. My God, I think if you look at some of the problems around the world, whether it be in the Middle East or in the subcontinent or almost anywhere, we left quite a legacy. But on the other hand, I'm not so sure that Britain can be asked now in the 21st century to accept all the responsibilities for all the ills. There is a line in Shakespeare that the fault lies not in our stars but in ourselves. I do think that countries have to take, and the individuals and the leaders within those countries have to take the responsibility for the direction and the policies within their country. Now, there is external interference. I think they have a right to ask for support against such external interference. But the matter now in Pakistan is a complex one. You say, you know, Pakistan is in the front line in the battle against terrorism. If so, it has to win the hearts and minds of the Pakistan people to conduct that fight. If actions by the United States, such as sending drones in pursuit, causes or damages that support, then I think, you know, on both sides there's got to be a look at...
It's counterproductive also. If you're challenging a country's sovereignty, the country that is supporting you in the war on terror...
It would seem to be, as you say, counterproductive. What I don't know, because I'm not in government, is what the British government are saying to the Americans, or what the present discussions are between them. What I do know is that for the time being, I think the British government does have the support of all three main political parties in continuing to fight in Afghanistan. A fight intending to provide Afghanistan with the kind of government that would enable it to deal itself with insurgents, just as
many people and the government, of course, has asked for Pakistan, if there is drones, if there is these are basically technology that is required to pursue certain elements. Now, it would be much better if that technology is provided to the country rather than another country taking the role. Do you think you would agree with that, that if there is a war to be fought?
It would seem most logical, but to be quite honest, I am not in a position to make a judgment on how or why the Americans are doing that. It wouldn't be the first time in world history that Americans have done things that are counterproductive. But whether this is one of them, I really have not got enough knowledge to make a judgment on. What I do say, however, is that I think it's very important that both Britain and America give full support to the government of Pakistan, both in terms of its internal reforms and in terms of its contribution to containing terrorism. Because it is quite clear that the battle has to be won in that area. But when I say the battle has to be won, I'm not necessarily saying that there's got to be an absolute military victory with pipe and drums and because
in terms of the strategy, it's been almost a decade since the 9/11 has happened, and the way we are moving forward in this war on terror. You earlier said that we as a world community haven't been able to make the world a more safer place, and there are reviews taking place, especially in America with the new president here also. Do you think that now British Foreign Secretary just a couple of days ago said that we're going to be negotiating and pulling out of Afghanistan, maybe negotiating with some good elements against those who are extremists rather than those who just want an Islamic rule? Now, do you think the strategy has to be reviewed as a whole, and whether as a British politician you would support that?
Yes, I think in any war situation you are bound to keep under review your strategy, not least when you're committing troops into battle and into danger.
But then the question arises, some assessments are made that, we cannot have dialogue with the terrorists or dialogue with the extremists. But then there's other philosophies that believe that all conflicts ultimately are resolved by dialogue.
Well, yes, I mean, the writer in one of our papers said, all wars end in negotiations, however short the negotiations sometimes are.
Yes.
And that is true. The question is, and this is an assessment that has to be made in terms of the region, is whether a premature withdrawal of the United States and Britain and other coalition forces wouldn't simply exacerbate the problems for the region. Whether if a Taliban government was restored to Afghanistan, what would be the impact on Pakistan? What would be the impact on modernizing forces in Iran? What would be the impact on any debate within the Islamic world about these things we were talking about earlier, about religion, civil rights, human rights, which are part of that wider debate? I don't think that this is one of those areas where it is, in the 60s, a lot of the campaign for America out of Vietnam was a clear feeling that the Americans were involved in the wrong place, fighting the wrong war. I think in Afghanistan the jury's still out on that. And the big fear is that what's happening in Afghanistan